Peter Nice lay on a makeshift cot in the corner of the room, his breathing shallow and labored. The wound in his stomach oozed dark red, soaking the sheets beneath him. His eyes, dull with pain, flickered between consciousness and oblivion. Vivian sat beside him, her trembling hands stained with his blood, unsure if she was trying to save him or just bear witness to his end. Xavier and Edwin paced near the shattered windows, weapons still clutched in their hands. Shania sat against the wall, pressing her sleeve against a deep gash on her arm, her expression vacant. Aiken was the only one who still held on to hope, searching frantically through supplies for anything to stabilize Peter. But deep down, they all knew the truth: he wasn't going to make it. The first sign of trouble came just before dawn. A sudden explosion rattled the farmhouse, sending dust and debris flying. The sons of Arian had found them. Shouts echoed outside, boots crunching against dirt as figures moved swiftly toward the house. The group barely had time to react before gunfire erupted, rounds tearing through the walls. Edwin cursed and dove for cover, returning fire through the broken window. Aiken pulled Shania behind an overturned table while Xavier dragged Vivian away from Peter's bedside. "We have to move," Xavier shouted, his voice barely carrying over the chaos. Vivian hesitated, looking back at Peter. He met her gaze for a fleeting second, then closed his eyes. "Go," he rasped. Aiken kicked open the back door, only to be met with a shotgun blast that barely missed his head. He stumbled back, raising his rifle and firing blindly as figures swarmed from the tree line. More bullets tore through the walls, splintering wood and sending plaster raining down. A grenade clattered onto the floor. "Get down!" Edwin tackled Xavier just as the explosion rocked the farmhouse. Smoke and fire swallowed the room, and the force of the blast threw Vivian and Shania against the far wall. Aiken, coughing, forced himself up and fired through the haze, but the enemy was already inside. Shania gritted her teeth, pushing up on one elbow, grabbing a broken glass shard, and stabbing it into the leg of the first man who grabbed her. He howled, staggering back, but another boot struck her face, knocking her down. Edwin emptied his last clip, bashing his rifle into an attacker's skull before being overpowered. Xavier fought with his bare hands, breaking a man's nose with his elbow before a rifle stock crashed against his temple. Aiken swung his knife at another assailant but was outnumbered. A bullet tore through his shoulder, sending him sprawling. Within minutes, it was over. Vivian groaned as she was dragged to her knees, her hands wrenched behind her back. The others were lined up beside her, all bloodied, bruised, and beaten. The scent of smoke and burning wood filled the air as the farmhouse crackled, flames beginning to consume what was left. The sons of Arian stood in a semicircle, their leader's son, a tall, blond man with cold, calculating eyes, stepping forward. He took his time inspecting each captive, then turned his gaze toward the cot. Peter Nice lay motionless. "Dead already?" the leader's son mused, cocking his head. He nudged Peter's body with the toe of his boot, then shrugged. "Doesn't matter." Aiken, blood dripping down his face, gritted his teeth. Had Peter succumbed to his wounds? Had someone put him out of his misery before the sons arrived? Or worse, had they gotten to him first? "No need to kill them here," the leader's son said, a smirk playing on his lips. "There's going to be a grand show soon. And these?" He gestured toward the captives. "These are going to be some of the contestants." Vivian's heart pounded. Contestants? Before she could ask what he meant, rough hands yanked her to her feet. The others were dragged up beside her. Edwin spat blood at one of the gang members and received a rifle butt to the stomach for his trouble. Shania, still dazed, barely resisted as she was shoved forward. They were thrown into the back of a truck, metal doors slamming shut behind them. The engine roared to life, and as the vehicle lurched forward, Vivian caught one last glimpse of the burning farmhouse. Peter's body was still inside, bathed in the flickering glow of the fire. Their nightmare was only just beginning.